Alright, today we're going to be making a video about how to replace swing arm bearings, how to remove and install swing arm bearings. What we're working on today is a CR80, 1991 CR80, and we're using Pivot Works bearings. They're easy to work on. They're easy to, it's a complete kit. It's everything you need. Cheaper than OEM parts, and you get a sticker in the package. So what we're going for is you're going to have to remove your bearing so it looks like this side, and you're going to install it so that it looks like this side. This side's already been done, and I'm going to be showing you how to do it. So the first step is obviously to remove your bearing. The best thing to do is use a blowtorch and just heat around the swing arm a little bit, and then you just find the appropriately sized socket, whatever it is, and you'll pound the old bearing out. You can see that fits in there nice, so you pound the old bearing and seal out with that. And what you need to do is clean this all out, make sure there's nothing left in there. You're not going to be able to reuse the bearings or fix them. When you pound them out, it messes them up. Alright, and then you're going to be ready to install your new ones. Now the first step is to wipe out the inside of this. I don't know if it's dirty or not, so. Okay, and then you're going to want to get some grease. This is what I'm using. I got an old toothbrush that I just keep in there. And just grease around the inside of that just to make the new bearing go in easier. Now, here's your new bearing. Looks like that pretty much. You want to install it with the writing on the outside. Now, I'll just set this in here. What you cannot do is you cannot hammer it in. Even if you get the right size socket, it'll bend this in a little bit and it'll pinch your bearings and they won't spin. So you got to make sure that you press them in. Now you don't need to buy a press. My press is right over here. It's a piece of 3/8 all thread, and I have a series of different size sockets and washers and nuts, and that's how we get this to go in. So back down here, here's what we're going to do. We're going to use this big one, and this will push it down straight, and that'll get us until it's flush with the end of the swing arm. Alright, so my washer in there, and we've got that. Alright, now we're going to take all this stuff and we're just going to slide it down into here. Now we're just going to start tightening, and we're going to make sure that everything's straight. So we'll slowly start tightening. If it's not perfectly straight, it'll center itself. But if it's really crooked, then obviously you just got to straighten it out by hand. Okay, and just do this until you got that bearing flush with the end of the swing arm. Now you can see this takes almost no effort at all. Goes down very quickly. You can see here that it's going in very easily, and it's going in straight. Okay. Once you have it flush, go ahead and remove the setup we've got here. So now the bearing's in there and it's flush with the end, but we need to countersink it a little bit. So you need to find out what the measurement is that it's supposed to be countersunk in. And here's what I have. I have a 17mm socket, and this newer piece of tape here is my my marker. So I press it in until that's flat with the end of the swing arm. Now we need to make sure that this is centered, otherwise it can possibly damage the bearings. So now we're going to start tightening this down as well. Alright, so now we're getting close to that piece of tape, so we'll go until it lines up there. Now you go ahead and back it all off. There you can see the bearing installed, centered in the swing arm. The next step is the seal. It goes on the inside of the swing arm on the other side. So what we want to do with the seal is just going get a bit of grease on the outside of it. Alright, and just spread that around. And you can just set it in. And then I'll put this washer here. And what we're going to do is we're going to countersink this a washer width. So we'll put that in there. This here. Okay, so now that we have that countersunk, my camera missed about 30 seconds there, but once that's countersunk, you can see it's nice and even around there. Then you grease up your bearings, and don't be afraid to put a lot. There's plenty of room in there for the grease to move around if it doesn't need it. And then you're ready to install your roller thing. And that's about all you missed. So I already greased the roller. And then just make sure you got the roller coated with grease. And you can slide it in. And then you just make sure that it all comes out nicely on the other side through that seal. See that? Alright. And once that's done, you can put on your end seal. But before I do that, I'm just going to grease around here where the end seal runs on. Make sure there's nothing in there that'll contaminate it, Don't want any of that shit in your bearings. So then go ahead and slide it on there. Now, since you put on a lot of grease, you can go ahead and wipe the grease off from outside the seals, since it's not going to do anything outside the seals. And you're all set. Go ahead and reinstall your swing arm, and ready to ride.